Howdy Earthlings! I wasn't planning to post anything for a little bit because I'm working on a massive 3-hour-long video about space invaders, but this crawled out of a cave and died on my table, and I just can't not talk about it. Shrimply, there are some things that don't get along in this world. Cats and dogs. Water and oil. And I thought, furries and AI. Trying to combine any of these things usually ends in disaster, except CatDog, that's just a good show. Well, a furry prompter, they're not an artist, let me be clear, let me be perfectly clear. AI art lost the court ruling that declared AI images as copyrightable. This is an appealing to law fallacy, of course, but it's also my opinion, so I'm just sharing my opinion. Basically, any images or works made by AI without human input aren't copyrightable. Copyright means the exclusive legal right given to an originator or an assignee. If AI images aren't able to be copyrighted, then they don't have an originator, meaning they weren't created, not art, or they weren't given to the prompter with consent. If they did receive permission, they'd be the assignee. They aren't making anything, and art has to be made. And they didn't receive permission from the people whose art was used to train those models, which means it's stolen. But they think that they are using ethical AI, and we'll get into that later. But that's just my opinion. If there's no defined originator, it's not art. Anyway, that's just my opinion though. Anyway, a furry prompter named Connie Yannicka, or Jonica, I don't know how to pronounce the name, on Blue Sky wasn't disclosing that they were using AI image generation to generate furry images to sell. I'm going to refer to them as a prompter from here on out because I have a partner named Connie, spelt different, but I don't want frequent viewers to confuse the two thinking that I'm talking about my Connie. The prompter was taking commissions and not disclosing that they are using AI. They do in some of their posts, but they didn't disclose to the commissioner, like, hey, I generate images with AI. Well, someone commissioned them and they were very upset to find out that they were paying for AI images. If you're not disclosing your use of AI, then you're hiding the fact that you use it, which makes me think that you're ashamed of it or don't want people to know. And if you're not disclosing important information like that, I feel like you're a scammer. If you didn't think anything was wrong, then why didn't you disclose it? The funny thing is that the prompter got really defensive about it and made posts about it on Blue Sky, which is weird. You didn't really think that this would make you look like the good guy, did you? I'm going to read the post now. Thank you to Haradoshin, who gathered these up in the first place. The prompter deleted their account shortly after this, so I can't get stuff from the source. Remember that this stuff is all self-admitted by the prompter. I'm not making up rumors or anything like that. This is all from the person who actually made these posts. As a quick reminder, don't attack the people you see in this video. It makes me look bad when you do so because people think I encourage that behavior. I don't. Let's just talk about this stupid argument. I'm sharing this because AI images don't have a place in artistic communities, and people who agree with me should be able to identify dumb arguments and dissect them, and this one is really dumb. So the prompter says, beware, do not offer art to Geminata 102296. She's been blacklisted from ever getting anything from me again. Oh, woe is me. The person who didn't want AI art can't get AI art from me anymore. You're not punishing them, and you're saying this to try and make yourself look good. She was aware that I made art with my private AI model. Ooh, a furry that can afford their own private AI model but can't afford to buy their own iPad. We'll find out later. We'll find that out later, that they're doing a fundraising drive to afford an iPad. But basically, this person can afford their own private AI art model but can't afford a damn iPad. Anyway, she was aware that I made my art with my private AI model during my full render process. However, she claims she wasn't aware, despite also saying she's seen my art. You can't expect people to see your art and be able to identify it as AI. A lot of people don't know how to identify AI art and, well, AI images. Again, I'm saying AI art because they identify it as AI art. I don't identify it as AI art. It's just a simpler word to say than image generation. Anyway, you can't expect everyday people to be able to do it. If someone's not an artist, you can't expect them to be able to identify it. If someone isn't regularly being shown AI images, they can't be expected to see it. And as the technology gets better, it's going to get harder and harder to identify. That's why you need to be doing legal disclosures that you're doing so. But now, think about all the artists that do put their hard work and soul into making actual art that looks close to these AI images, because I've seen a couple of Japanese artists that get really close to what the prompter is peddling here. Anyway, there's a little bit of screenshots that we can see here, but like I said, this person deleted their account, so we can't actually see the originals of it. But basically, the customer wants to do a chargeback via PayPal since the art I commissioned wouldn't be what I'd be receiving. Talking about some rumors that they use AI art, and then Connie discloses, well, I use it for personal use, but when I do commissions, I don't use it. I practice off my own custom model that uses my own artwork from years past. I just don't believe that. Would you rather do the soft shade? I'll refund the full render portion if you like. No thank you, just the refund please. Don't do a chargeback, because the person may have already spent your money, in which case you do a chargeback, it could overdraft their account, taking your amount of money plus an additional overdraft fee, which, yeah, just talk to the artist first, and even if it just takes a few days to get you your money back, just please be patient. Don't do chargebacks, even if they, you know, are an AI prompter shitter. Don't do chargebacks. It's just crappy. Chargebacks are for actual scammers. If you can't get in contact with them, then do a chargeback. If they ghost you or something like that for like a straight month after numerous messages, then consider the chargeback. And then a buyer artist beware. Alright, so the prompter is also doing a weight gain drive for their character. This is basically when a character is drawn with larger or fatter proportions based on a variety of cash goals. This is a common thing in gainer or feeder art communities. These are art communities that are focused around characters gaining weight or helping them gain weight. I want to make it clear that these art communities also don't like AI, so please don't think that AI use is common in gainer or feeder art, because it's not. I know a lot of gainer artists, and they all hate AI. Anyway, the weight gain drive post says, gonna be getting big with this one. Great way to have me save for that iPad again, but also motivate me to make some new art for you all. Also, AI is gone. No longer sharing it here on Twitter. Here or Twitter. They meant or Twitter because this is on Blue Sky. Solely focused on drawn work. Links found in the replies to donate. So, a big indicator here, some stuff to really like point out that the AI aspect of it. It's really actually hard to identify that this is AI art, except for some of the bleeding on the edges of stuff. The paws look normal. Don't have a super zoomed in version of this because, like I said, they deleted their account after this. So I can see why some people might believe that it's possible or that it's real, but typically in a gain drive thing, because so many images are being drawn, typically they won't do something this fully rendered for a weight gain drive. Usually they'll do something like a sketch or just simple line work and then draw with each step, and then on the final one do one big final piece like this. So I think it's a little suspicious to see a full render on a growth drive or a gaining drive, one of the two. So if you see something like this, you can consider that suspicious, but especially in the tail here, along the edge of the tail where it meets the shadow, that looks like AI. That definitely looks like AI, but the rest of it, I mean, it's all feasible. Like I've said, I've seen some artists that draw like this, but typically I tend to be pretty wary of generic Japanese anime kimono styles. So yeah, they do at least disclose that they used AI at one point, but they said AI is gone. Clearly it is not. Another indicator that I would be worried about is that this person uses Canva. All my homies hate Canva. Canva is probably the worst text generation thing that you could use. It's very limiting. It's got the same fonts and everybody knows what those fonts look like. Like, I can look at my feed and I will unintentionally go Canva thumbnail, Canva thumbnail, Canva thumbnail, and it kind of makes me want to click the video less. I know it's dumb and petty, but Fire Alpaca is free and there's lots of free fonts that you can use. I use Fire Alpaca with free fonts to make my thumbnails. If they're using something like this, which is just Canva text, I'd be a little suspicious then too, because why wouldn't they just write their own text or maybe have a personal font that they use? Like, I have, YouTubers have something called a brand. And the brand is a collection of assets that they use to make their work recognizable even if their face isn't on it. The text here is part of your brand. For me, I use the font Choco Shake. The font Choco Shake is free for personal and commercial use, and I consider that part of my branding because I do use Choco Shake. I use it in my videos. I use also Dynapuff for my subtitles. I don't use any fonts that come standard with a program. So I think use of Canva is a pretty big indicator, because if they're an artist, why aren't they just doing this in their art program? Because you have text in art programs too. So that's a big thing that sticks out to me. Even if I didn't know this was AI art, I would be like, I don't entirely trust this because of the Canva fonts. Anyway, the final and hilarious part. The prompter says they can't do art because of hardware limitations, because they're stuck using a mouse and keyboard. They tell people to try drawing with a mouse and keyboard and instead of their preferred way to do art. If you're a furry, then you already know how much of a straw man argument this is. This mouse and keyboard argument is there to distract you from what they're actually doing, by getting you to focus on the dumber, sillier argument. But screw it. Let's attack the straw man. Here's the rest of the post that I've got for you. To the artists that decided to collectively harass me today, don't do that. Don't collectively target people for harassment. I challenge you to draw your OC with a mouse and keyboard. I get it. It's hard for some people, but I've always done stuff with my mouse. Like, I sketch with my tablet, and then I line with my mouse, because I'm able to keep my arm steadier with a mouse because I am a gamer. And as a gamer, I use my mouse to do a lot more interacting with my computer, so I have more control over my mouse than I do with my hand. It's basically just a bullshit argument. Lots of artists use mouse and keyboard. As an example, here's some art that my partner Rook drew of their character. And this character was drawn with a mouse, no stabilization, because it was drawn in MS Paint. And it still looks really awesome. Actually, I think it looks like they do a lot of really good art. I've shown their art here before. Like, I used their Sparkle Dog for the thumbnail for my Sparkle Dog video, and that's really good art. But I also really like the aesthetic of this MS Paint version that Rook drew. So yeah, Rook has been using a tablet forever. Rook drew with mouse and keyboard just fine. I draw with mouse and keyboard, using the mouse and keyboard to line my stuff, but I've also used explicitly just my mouse and keyboard before I got that tablet. So another thing I do, I rig my models, and all of my models are rigged using mouse and keyboard. You can use a tablet to do these things, and some people do prefer to use a tablet because it does provide more control for them, but I use mouse and keyboard to do all my rigging. And I mean, look at me, I'm great. I also drew this with mouse and keyboard. This model is drawn with mouse and keyboard after sketching, and then rigged with mouse and keyboard. So it's, like I said, it's really a weak argument. This is the kind of argument that could only come from someone who's a prompter, someone who doesn't understand art, someone who hasn't drawn digital art, someone who doesn't really understand what it means to make it. Like, people were making cave paintings with the burnt end of a stick in caves. You really don't have an excuse to not learn art, because you can literally learn to make art with anything. You can do a stick in the sand, burnt end of a stick in a cave, lots of stuff. There's so many things you can do art with. You can make art with anything. You just don't want to. You don't want to have to learn the skill. You don't want to have to develop the skill. You don't want to have to do any of the work. You just want to own the junk. There was a Blue Sky post that I read the other day that stuck with me since. America and capitalism has taught us that ownership is accomplishment. So you think by prompting it and then generating the image that you just accomplished something. You didn't. You didn't accomplish anything. And capitalism has taught you that just owning the thing is proof of your accomplishment. People own things all the time without earning it. But yeah, I digress. They say, I challenge you to draw your OC with a mouse and keyboard, put your tablet away, your pen, pencil, notebook, whatever you normally use to make art. Use a computer mouse and draw. So this argument is weak because, of course, someone is going to be weaker with drawing skills using a tool that they don't normally use. If you use mouse and keyboard and have always used mouse and keyboard, you'll know it's not that bad. But if you're someone who draws a specific way and then uses mouse and keyboard, it's an issue. It's difficult. But like, nothing is stopping them from doing what most people do. Pencil, paper, draw on paper, take picture, then line with mouse and keyboard. Like, coloring is easier with mouse and keyboard. So yeah, I don't get the complaint. Anyway, they say, you'll have a humbling experience. You're stupid. This is stupid. Maybe then you'll understand my struggle, and if you refuse, then mind your own business. I don't complain about artists because I admire artists' work often. You can do it. You just don't want to. You just want to have the money from making the art without having to actually make the art. If I had the money to buy my own tablet to commission artists constantly, I would gladly do so. Well, crazy. You said you used to do art. What happened? Also, you said that you have a personal AI model. If you were able to make your own personal AI model that's magically ethical, let's get to the ethical thing before I talk about that. But basically, you claim to have your own personal AI model that only uses your own art. If you're able to afford something like that, you can buy a damn tablet. Like, you can buy a used Surface for like $300, and it's an amazing drawing tablet. You can buy the artist tablet that I use for just $200. Like, these are not that expensive. They're going to get expensive with the tariffs, but they're not that expensive right now. They're especially not $2,000, weight gain drive kind of money. They continue, but the fact that I'm treated poorly because I learned how to use AI ethically, I will never commission artists who treat me this way. You're not commissioning anyone anyway. I highly doubt that you're commissioning anyone. But, well, they commissioned someone for their fursuit. But we're talking about, like, digital art and drawn art. But AI ethically. There is no way to use AI ethically. AI takes images and uses it to train its model. Then it generates images through a culmination of all the art that it took. So it's not ethical because it's taking the images other people make without permission. Even if everyone were to give them permission to do so and, put it into the AI program, if there was an AI program that somehow got permission from everybody first, I would still say it's not ethical because you're selling your art under the pretense that it is art that you have made when you have not made it. I've already established that I don't think AI art is art, it's image generation. So even if everyone were able to consent to you using their art to train an AI model and then use that AI model to generate an image, you're still selling it under the pretense that you made art. You did not make art. That is a lie. That is a scam. You are selling something different than what you are saying. That is a scam. So there is no ethical way for this person specifically to use AI art without disclosing it every single time they do it. Like what they're suggesting. If you're able to make an AI program that is somehow ethical, you would be getting hired by tech companies like crazy. Because companies really want AI. They really want to be able to use AI images and stuff like that and not have people hate them for it. So if you were somehow able to make this ethical AI, you wouldn't need to scam people on the internet for money. You'd just be hired because you would be an astounding tech wizard ahead of their time. So this is total bullshit. And if you had a personal AI image generation model that used your own art, again, you would have enough money that you wouldn't need to do this in the first place. Anyway, they continue. Grow up, get a life. Okay, grow up, get a skill. So many of you spend your free time complaining over actually learning about who people are and improving your own style of art. I could learn who you are and it still wouldn't make me like you. Like, you could donate millions to charity, and if you still fucking reek as a person, I'm gonna say you reek as a person. And it's always the Twitter/BSky artists that act this way, because you only use Twitter and Bsky. Y'all are non-existent out of the spaces, so why should I care what you think of me? They're non-existent out of the spaces because Twitter and Blue Sky are the easiest ways to post art. You don't have to, like, have you tried posting art on like Toy House and Fur Affinity? There's like a billion boxes you gotta tick every time you want to upload one image. When you go on Bsky or Twitter, you just drag and drop it to your box and then go, hee hee, made funny thing, and then press enter, and that's it. So yeah, people don't use other places for art because it's just so much easier to use those. They're non-existent outside of those spaces because you're also non-existent outside of those spaces, other than your fursuiting or whatever. I am not what these artists claim about me. No, you are. You use AI art and sell it under the pretense that whatever, because they have always assumed things of me. No, everything I've said here is based off of what you've said yourself. They never learned anything about what I do or who I am as a person, because your online persona is all we're shown. We don't know that other shit because you don't share that other shit. You only share your scams. They just see someone lie about something I never did. Then they turn around to their followers and make up stories for clout. Yeah, we call you out for using your ethical AI. Gotta hold my pinky out when I say that one. And then we're just clout chasers. Okay. I'm on YouTube. I am a clout chaser. Honestly, I'm a clout fucking goblin. Nah, I really don't make that many drama videos. You can look through every single video I made, and like I've got maybe 5 total videos about drama now out of like 200 videos. Anyway, I'm just gonna end it with this. I'd prefer if you traced over using AI images. If you traced, you're at least training your hands by mimicking others. Obviously, you shouldn't trace, but gun to my head, had to choose or get my brains blown out, I'd pick the tracer side before I would pick the prompter side. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tip your artists. They charge way less than they're worth. Also consider checking out my dumb new merch and joining my Patreon. Both support the channel, and you can look like your shirt is alive. I lowered the price on these so they're as low as they can possibly get. I don't make more than $5 for anything you buy on my shop because I really just want y'all to have neat stuff. But also because 43 bucks for a hoodie is robbery, I'm gonna get one of these shirts here soon for myself. I really like the dip dye and the tie-dye ones. Those ones are just really cool. Also, the really simple design is really goofy. Like, depending on where your chest is located, my eyeballs could be on your nipples. Maybe you want that. I don't know. Also, I made the art myself. Can't you tell? Anyway, thanks to the supporters like those found on Patreon, members, and supers. Bonus thank you to Aspirin Artist, Paper, Faye Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Aurora the Puppy Moth, Sly, Nat, Selena, Marius, Eenie, Worm Syrup, Rask, Ver, Beeve, Bait, Sly Again, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky, Linky Again, Splackjack, Fusoku, and Sushion. For just $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits. But now I have to go. I have to play 60 Space Invaders games. Pray for me. Or don't. I probably did something to deserve this.